Well, hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, we are going through Leviticus, and we did 2 episodes already on kind of the introduction and then looking at verse 3. Today I'm going to go through all of chapter 1, and it's the burnt offering. And I want to show you in that burnt offering how we see Jesus in that. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be pointing out in Leviticus is showing how you see Jesus in those offerings. So like today we're talking about the burnt offering. Tomorrow it'll be the grain offering. And then the next day it'll be the fellowship offering. We might break those up, but I wanted to try and go through it and just show you. I won't show you every detail of the whole offering, but I'm going to pick out some points to show you how it points to Jesus here. So it's kind of amazing when you read through it and look at it in that perspective here. Okay, so this is taken from Leviticus chapter 1, okay, and it's only like 17 verses here. It says this: "The Lord called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting. He said, 'Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when anyone among you brings an offering to the Lord, bring as your offering an animal from either the herd or the flock.'" Okay. "If the offering is a burnt offering from the herd, you are to offer a male without defect. You must present it at the tent entrance to the tent of meeting, so that it will be acceptable to the Lord." Okay. Let's start right off there. It was a male, which is Jesus, and without defect. Jesus had no sin. Okay. And in the same way, this sacrifice here, this burnt offering, was supposed to be perfect. It wasn't, supposed to be crippled or anything like that. It was supposed to be perfect, no defect in it. Okay, so again, pointing to Jesus here. Verse 4: "You are to lay your hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it will be acceptable on your behalf to make atonement for you." So this here was a kind of a transference. What was happening, a sign of transference with the laying on of the hands of hands here. Verse 5: "You are to slaughter the young bull before the Lord, and then Aaron's sons, the priests, shall bring the blood and splash it against the sides of the altar at the entrance to the tent of meeting. You are to skin the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. The sons of Aaron, the priests, are to put the fire on the altar and arrange the wood on the fire. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, shall arrange the pieces, including the head and the fat, on the wood that is burning on the altar. You are to wash the internal organs and the legs with water, and the priest is to burn all of it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord." Okay, this several things here with what I just read. A lot of blood is being splattered around and so forth. And when Jesus died, he shed his blood for us. Okay, and then it mentions the wood. The wood would also be pointing to the wood of the cross. So that's significant also. Verse 10: "If the offering is a burnt offering from the flock, from either the sheep or the goats, you are to offer the male without defect." Here we are again, without defect. Okay. And again, the sheep, the Lamb of God, is Jesus. "You are to slaughter it at the north side of the altar before the Lord, and Aaron's sons, the priests, shall splash its blood against the sides of the altar. You are to cut it into pieces, and the priest shall arrange them, including the head and the fat, on the wood that is burning on the altar. You are to wash the internal organs and the legs with water, and the priest is to bring all of them and burn them on the altar. If a burnt offering, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord." Okay, so we're talking about the sheep. We talked about larger animals being sacrificed, the bull. And so it was the same principle here with everything. A lot of blood being shed, the significance of the wood here. And it had to be perfect. Verse 14: "If the offering to the Lord is a burnt offering of birds, you are to offer a dove or a young pigeon." Okay, so you gave this offering, and if you couldn't afford the bull, then you could do the the sheep. And if you couldn't afford the sheep, then you could at least do, the birds, okay, and the young pigeon. It doesn't cost much for a pigeon, and so you could do that. And again, you're doing it with it. It has no defects in it, but it's showing here with the different animals that it was accessible to everybody. Okay, no matter how much you could afford. You might be rich and be able to afford the bull. You might be poor and only being able to afford the pigeon, but it was accessible to all. And in the same way, Jesus is accessible to all. Okay. Verse 15, the priest shall bring it to the altar, wring off the head and burn it on the altar. Its blood shall be drained out on the side of the altar. He is to remove the crop and the feathers and throw them down, east of the altar where the ashes are. He shall tear it open by the wings, not dividing it completely, and then the priest shall burn it on the wood that is burning on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Okay, so that concludes chapter 1. The big thing here is it was accessible to all because you could either do a bull, or you could do a sheep, or you could do a birds. Okay, so whatever you could afford, you could sacrifice here. Okay, and then the big things, it had to be perfect, just like Jesus is perfect. A lot of blood was shed, just like Jesus shed his blood for us on the cross. And the cross, a lot of wood is used here, and in the same way, the wood, the significance of the wood on the cross. So all of this, the burnt offering, chapter 1, again, we're looking at, and it's pointing to Jesus. All right? So, hey, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Leviticus. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.